things you know about you that nobody else knows, things that others know about you that you don't know, things that you know that others also know about you, and then things that you don't know and I don't know.
Okay,
And
so like
so-
4 quadrants kind of?
Yes, that's how you look at it. It's a framework for, honestly, for feedback. You don't know even the context in which to do this thing,
Yeah,
right? And
absolutely.
so you need people understanding like, hey, I'm gonna tell you this thing you're doing wrong, or just you don't know about yet, because you need to know in order to get to the next run.
One of the things that I wanted to talk to you about was, here we are at Mission Design, but you didn't start as director of communication, right, and marketing. You started putting together technical manuals for robots.
Yeah, yep. My career started as a technical writer, and even when I came to Mission, far into my career, I was once again doing technical manuals for machines. We didn't have that role here. My, I guess, skill or craft really was in communication and writing, and at least at the time, and I'll be honest, I'm really bad at decision making, so I changed my mind a lot through school, and finally I had a professor kind of say like, you're really good at this and there are actually jobs in this, so put your head down and stop changing your major. I had no concept of manufacturing at that time, I will say that. Like, never did it cross my mind that I might really work in manufacturing. And so I had no idea. Like, I had this kind of pie in the sky idea that like I'd get a degree in writing and then go immediately get a job at the New Yorker. So, but I was fortunate to really get to know my professors at school, and I did some extracurricular, like there was a group called the Organization of Professional Writing, and I wanted to learn a little bit more about web development, and they were doing some of that in that group with the professor who was the dean of writing at the time. So I got to do that and get to know him a little bit, and once I graduated, I was at Grand Valley. I moved back home to my hometown, which is Bay City.
Okay.
So other side of the state, up north a little bit, and got a job bartending, serving tables. And one day, I think it was, I graduated in end of April, May, and maybe in July he gave me a call and was like, Sammy, what you doing? Like, do you have a job yet? And I was like, I mean, I do have a job. And he had his sights on some roles at an automation company out here in Holland, and knew they were looking for tech writers, and so he sort of like advised that I go interview for it, and I did, and I was so intimidated on my interview. I had never seen a robot before. I'd never been on a manufacturing floor before. The team that I worked with, the person that hired me in, she now has her own consulting business here in West Michigan called Gordo Consulting. But it's a gal named Robin Gordon, and she's just so much fun. And although I was really intimidated by the topic at hand, like, she kind of assured me, like, everybody starts here. Nope, a lot of people don't know what this is before they start at a place like this in a role like this. And what you don't know, we have confidence that you can learn it. And so I was able to jump into the teams there. Fantastic team. Some of the people I still work with now here at Mission, which has been really such a meaningful journey, I would say. And so I started in tech writing. At the time, the company I worked for didn't have a marketing team. So like documentation got to do presentations and help with some of that stuff. And as they grew, we were able to pull in or create some real actual marketing roles. And I was lucky to get one of those roles. And before I came to Mission in 2020, I spent 7 years at another automation company local here to West Michigan. So, and that company experienced a ton of growth, which was really great to be part of when you're in your 20s and still figuring out like what the world is.
Yeah.
And be able to have people help you understand like how business and global business works. So I was able to really like learn a lot, and there were great mentors who invested in me and saw potential. Then in 2020, I came here to Mission, and Mission was so small at the time. We had about 48 people when I started here, and for context, we have about 155 now. So in 5 years, we've tripled in size, and there's never been a dull day here that I've experienced. It's been a lot of building, putting in processes, educating, coaching through change, and it's just, I love it here. It's been so fun the last 5 years. It's crazy that it's been that long.
Could you see yourself being here today without a mentor?
Absolutely not. When I think about, like, the answer is no. I think it's so hard to see yourself or see potential when you don't have a lot of framework for which to see it. I think some people have the opposite, like, I'm gonna get a job and then I'm gonna be the CEO, and those people are really difficult to work with, I think. You need somebody to be pointing out your gifts, I think, and someone who's maybe walked a similar path or just knows that there's more to the world than maybe you have the framework to contextualize yet. As a young adult, there's just such an advantage to be said about having somebody kind of pull you along, push you past your boundary a little bit to say, in a good way, to say, you actually can do this. We believe in you. Don't worry about mistakes. If you make them, we've got your back, and we're gonna figure it out together. We're not gonna let you fail, you know? And I guess because of that, that's why I try to lead the way that I do, is I've had so many good people help shape me in that way, or help me realize, like, you are actually very capable of things that you don't think you are capable of.
You said Mission Design was 48 people when you started.
Mm-hmm.
We're at 155 today. Was that pretty easy?
It wasn't easy, necessarily. I wouldn't call it easy. It certainly has been a growing journey. There's been growing pains, there's been successes, obviously. There's also been failures, things that didn't work out the way you wanted it to, that you've got to go, you know, and at that point it's like nobody's career has ended over that. You go back to the drawing board and figure out what didn't work here and how are we gonna move forward differently, because this team thrives in challenge, and so I don't know that, certainly there's things you wish were easy, but I don't think that we're asking for our job to be easy. I think they want a job where you can be innovative, where you're working together, solve problems. It's different every day. That's what I think gets our team up in the morning and gets them to be here. So, I don't know that this would work if it were easy. We like hard work.
Yeah, easy is relaxing. Easy is watching TV or, staying on the greens at Crystal.
Exactly.
And then you don't learn what you don't know, right? And so, like, side tangent, I'm like on my 4th year of skiing.
Okay.
I finally conquered the faces this year at Crystal.
Congrats!
Yeah.
That's awesome.
But
I haven't been down them.
Well,
some I have, but...
Okay. I never would have done it if I didn't have my friend, who's a ski instructor with me, telling me to squish marshmallows in the front of my ski boots. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I was like, oh, okay, because I had my pressure all wrong.
Sure.
You know?
Well, you need someone to point this stuff out. Like, have you heard of the Johari window before? There's like things you know about you that nobody else knows. Things that others know about you that you don't know, things that you know that others also know about you, and then things that nobody knows, like you don't know and I don't know.
Okay, so like 4 quadrants kind of?
Yes, that's how you look at it, and it's a framework for feedback.
Okay.
But that's what you need, right? You need the feedback, understanding, like, hey, I'm going to tell you this thing you're doing wrong, or just you don't know about yet, because you need to know in order to get to the next run or level in skiing, or to the next step in your career. Is like, you have to have trusted people around you to tell you the truth about what you're doing wrong, or where you need to be steered in a different direction, because you just might not have any framework for which to think about it.
Are there any failures that you can point to that helped shape your success?
Gosh, where do I start? One thing that I've learned on my leadership journey, if you will, or while I've had people who report to me, is the longer you hold feedback that is constructive, because it's uncomfortable to give, the worse off everybody is. So even though it's very
gotcha.
difficult
Yeah.
sometimes to give constructive feedback or adjusting feedback, it's not comfortable for the person giving it, it's not comfortable for the person receiving it. And as a West Michigan nice culture that we kind of have here, and maybe my personality in general has prevented me sometimes from giving feedback when it needed to be given, which has only grown my personal frustration with the situation at hand. It has stifled the person who's relying on me to grow them from growing in the way that we need them to. And it's just one of those things that the sooner you can address something, the better, the faster everyone gets better. And I guess if I had to say, like, that's one thing that when I think back, like, I would definitely have handled the situation differently. I would have addressed issues sooner. Even though they're uncomfortable for people, it's like, as a manager or a leader of others, you have to get comfortable just saying what needs to be said.
Yeah. What do you tell yourself to, like, do what you feel is right? Like, is there a prep plan, or is it kind of muscle memory at this point?
Certainly not muscle memory. I have to remind myself that I'm going to have a conversation and not being chased by a lion. Like, deactivate my fight or flight response, which is like the natural response to be like, why can't everything just be good? And the truth is, like, well, it's not. So you have to, in 30 minutes, this will be over, and everyone will be better for it. The reality is, gosh, I would hope that my leaders and my managers are not holding information from me that would help me be better, because they're afraid of hurting my feelings.
Do you ask them for it?
I do often ask for feedback because I, one, can sense kind of feelings in a room. And actually, my boss and I had an open conversation last week where he let me know that in certain situations I might be coming off as a little intimidating. Okay. And I was like, me? Yeah. I'm not intimidating. You must have me mistaken for somebody else. And we have a good enough relationship that we kind of joked about it, but he, just let me know, like, the way that you are approaching this person is not the way that I see that person needing to be approached. And so you guys are getting nowhere, and you need to know this.
So you've got this pyramid in front of you here.
Yeah. The pyramid is a representation of Maslow's hierarchy of needs. I'll just go through them. Physiological, safety, belonging, respect, and purpose. This is something, the first time I learned it was in a high school psychology class, but our entire leadership team has gone through training, and it's one of the first things you learn is Maslow's hierarchy of need, and we try to frame our behavior around this hierarchy. What do people need to feel safe? What do they need to feel to belong? Do they have purpose? Are they respected? And so when you go through your day-to-day, you can either be driving people up the pyramid or driving them down based on your interactions with them or your behavior. And so having a way to think through, like, is that action or interaction that I'm having driving somebody up the pyramid or driving them down? Driving them down is obviously negative. You want people to feel a sense of purpose. You want them to feel respected. You want them to feel like they have a place to belong and that their voice is heard.
So your goal is not to just hit, like, the bottom of the pyramid on most people. It's to hit the top of the pyramid, right? To find purpose.
Yes.
And so, but you can't find purpose without the other layers holding up the pyramid.
That's right.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, you're going to be less focused on making sure that, I have a sense of purpose if your kids aren't fed at home or you're bleeding out or something, you can look at it from, like, a caveman sense or, like, a highly intelligent society sense, but, like, at the bare minimal, you want people to have a roof over their head, to have food to eat, to have a place to sleep at night. We all, I think, want that as employees, as people in general, is a feeling of, I go to work and I like what I do and I feel respected by my peers, and, I'm moving in a direction that I want to go in and I feel invested in. what we try to do is make sure that obviously at a fundamental level, our team feels taken care of. They've got what they need to live the life that they need, to live their lives and feel successful. And we also want to make sure that everybody that is here feels respected, has community, and has a sense of purpose. We have career development plans going in place for every employee, things like that we try to think through. How do we make sure our team feels a sense of purpose when they're here? And if people have that, then they're likely to be engaged in the work that they're doing. They're likely to pull the next person along and say, let me show you,
right.
just like somebody else did for me. It creates just a better environment overall, and there's certainly a ton of different frameworks you can use, but this is the one that we have found that works for our team, and it makes a lot of sense.
One thing that we talked about a while back was kind of you living in the gray area. You guys went from 48 people wearing many hats, and now you're 155 people in 5 years. When you're growing so fast, what glue holds you together when you don't know what you're supposed to be doing?
Yeah, great communication about what's working, what's not, where we're going. Research, for sure. But I think just talking to your team, making sure you're checking in. I would say, have you heard build the plane while you're flying it? That's kind of what we do. And once you've done it once, then you can say, all right, now we know we can do it this way.
Yeah.
And then it gives you building blocks to work with. You now start putting together your manual for how to build the Taj Mahal. Okay, we tried that, planning a trade show, right? You could use that as an example. First time we did a show, I was the only person here on the marketing team, with my leaders, of course, helping me and people around, but now we've got a team that can support those things. And so what are the things we need to think about? What needs to be done and when? Instead of scrambling, now we've got some framework in which to work, and we can build process around that until you do it, though. And for so many things new to our company as we grow, and this goes for any company or any organization, putting in an LMS system for our learning and development, we don't know yet, right? Until you start doing it, and then you can build some process and framework around it, but you've got to have people on your team who are okay with the we don't know part.
Yeah.
A leader should be thinking through, we're going to set a vision and put a plan around it and get the right people. There's a person on my team, Mandy, I think you've met her. She is super organized and she loves a plan.
Okay.
And so it's been so amazing to have her on my team.
For you and I, that's like a Swiss Army knife, right?
Yes, I mean, she really is I'll have all these ideas and she'll say, okay, who's doing what by when?
Yeah.
And how are you? Oh yeah, yes, I should probably put a plan together for this grand idea that I have.
Yep.
And that's how things get done. So building your team, like you said, putting people in their areas of strength.
Yeah.
It takes all types.
What do you tell specifically the young women that don't even know what manufacturing is to encourage them to get into this field?
Certainly, if you're in an engineering role or an engineering mindset, definitely this is the place for you. If you're not and you're more creative type or into I'll say the arts, there's still so much opportunity here, and the world needs great ideas, creative ideas. I think the world in general, but even in the manufacturing environment, all of these things we talked about today, I think whether it's because of framework or gender roles or whatever it is, I think women tend to lead with more empathy, or at least historically so. And the world could just use a little more of that. And so not being afraid to say why it's important to lean in, lead with empathy, lead with listening first. Women bring so much power to a table, and I will tell you, it gets so disappointing to me sometimes when I know that there are women who have great ideas, and I witness them being afraid to share them for whatever reason, because some belief or unsaid dynamic that exists that says these men know more than me.
Have you yourself been in a situation where you've held things back specifically because you're a woman?
Yes. Many of times, yes.
What have you told yourself to change that? Is that something that, like, when's the last time, you don't need to answer this, but when is the last time that you had that thought, and what did you tell yourself to overcome it?
I am usually not known to be a person who's not going to say what I think needs to be said, at least more recently. When it comes to certain things like, let's talk about planning a new building, bringing up ideas like, we'll want to think about what women need in a facility. If we've got a customer who's a recent mother or a new mom, we're going to need different accommodations to have them feel comfortable in our facility and things like that. So making sure that we're bringing voices to those things that a lot of men just don't have to navigate and aren't maybe thinking of. So talking about how do you have just certain things in your facility that can make people feel comfortable no matter what, or feel like they have a great experience here. You know, just thinking through and bringing a voice to, like, most men are not thinking, what if our customer's a woman and is nursing, right?
Yeah.
And needs a space or something like that. So just making sure that you're bringing light or shedding light, like, hey, there's all these other things that we should think about too that I'm not sure, no fault of your own, is not on your mind.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, you live in the world that you live in, right? But that's why all voices make a difference, because it's that teamwork, and that's that 50% piece, right? Like, half of our workforce historically is underutilized, right? Like, the empathy piece is real. Man or woman, the person with the empathy is my lead candidate, right? As a leader. Like, if you lack empathy, how do you connect? How do you build? Right? And so it's so important.
Yeah, and all of that kind of, we talked so much about that when we go through Maslow's and talk about being, how do you be a good leader? How do you also be a good follower? How do you be a leader worth following? There's so many things that have to do with, like, just awareness of how you're behaving, or like understanding your team and what they're dealing with.
Yeah, love it. So rewind the clock, knowing what you know today. What's some advice for somebody that, you know, they're in your shoes when you were 25?
I've got a couple. One, we kind of talked about it a little bit, is you're capable of way more than you think you are. So, like, don't, like, get out of your own way. If somebody's asking you to try something new, they probably see something that maybe you can't see, so lean in. The sooner you have a hard conversation, the sooner you make progress. I just had another one. Don't be afraid to ask for more. Don't be afraid to ask for things to change. The more you speak up, the better, I would say. That I think people can, especially when you're in your early 20s, like, not know, what am I allowed to do? Or like, I'm just here in this role, all of these people are smarter than me.
Yeah.
And that's not the case. Like, you bring unique value to, that's why you're there. And the sooner you can recognize, like, my voice matters. And especially, I would say, for young women in careers in manufacturing, which can feel even more intimidating. Like, no, your voice does matter, and they need you. The future needs you to be speaking up in meetings